In the years before the Great War, Big Mountain had been the home to the brightest minds of the 21st century. Scientists of vision were drawn to the facility to tackle the greatest technological challenges of the era. They sought to create a new world, fueled by technology for the benefit of all mankind. Sonic emitters, space-age alloys, DNA hybridization, force field particle research, autodoc advances in cranial, cardiac, and trauma surgery. The hopes and dreams of a century became realities in the electronic forges of Big Mountain. The nucleus of this research was the Dome, a huge stone facility that held the labs of every science known to man. It was a think tank where no problem could not be solved, where no question could not be answered. The Great War brought a new energy to Big Mountain and its scientists. Although sheltered from the front lines, the scientists waged their own war, fighting their battles at the atomic level. Equations and calculations marched endlessly across chalkboards and computer terminals toward one solution: winning the war. For years, the minds and computers of Big Mountain were a blaze of trajectories, weapon schematics, and nuclear theories. The problems began to outpace the solutions, first geometrically, then exponentially. As the war escalated, so did the questions. On the night of October 23rd, 2077, the scientists received an answer that put all their questions to rest. In the aftermath, Big Mountain's silent experiments went to sleep, their creators slowly dying in the new world that had been left behind. And the great stone in the middle of the Big Empty lay untouched, filled with countless technological wonders. Wonders that, in the end, had been answers to the wrong question.
I thought I heard the pacification field kick in. All right, shh. Nobody move. I'll handle this. Be warned, intruder. You are in the presence of the mighty think tank of Big Mountain. The collective geniuses of... We... By Oppenheimer, which one of you self-professed geniuses has been adjusting my volume knob? Who was it? Was it you, 8? Oh, Dr. O, was it? Likely story. O couldn't spark 2 neurons if they were in a lattice of biomed gel.
What? Me? Breaking news, Klein. It wasn't me, all right? I'm the robotical engineer. 8 is sound waves. That's his specialty. You always do this. You always demean me in front of guests. And it's not O, all right? It's...
Enough! Either of you do it again, it'll be the last time. Now... Great. Now I forgot what I was saying. What was I talking about? Did it just say something? Anyone catch that? Boros, you work with animals. Translate. It's a lobotomite. Here, in the dome. Oh, as if this situation couldn't get any worse. Now we've got lobotomites. Dalla, get the spray before it excretes all over everything.
Dr. Klein, if my hypothesis is correct, this lobotomite is the repository of the brain we sent the signal to, the skin envelope once containing it. If so, It's proof that there may indeed be something beyond the crater. Just look at it. The way it blinks. It's like a big, hairless teddy bear.
I know what it is, Dollar. I want to know why it's down here. With its limbs all over everything. And are those penises I see wriggling on its feet? Disgusting.
I believe those are toes, Dr. Klein. Little teddy bear toes. Penises are much larger than those tiny extremities. Not that I would know.
I don't recall the human penis ever being that large.
It depends on one's own frame of reference, Dr. O. Look at its little nose with its 2 orifices for ingesting oxygen.
Noses? By the great static. These lobotomites confound me with their sheer number of useless extremities. What? What is it doing? Did we institute electroshock? Or is it excreting?
Dr. Klein, wait. I don't believe those gestures were random. Random at all. It's been following our conversation. The lobotomite understands us.
I agree with Boros's histrionic findings. This little lobotomite is unusually attentive for something whose brain has been extracted.
Nonsense! Lobotomites can't comprehend us!
Ace, have you been in the mentats again? If we slow down our oral processoreceptors to understand this excretion, we'll all be rendered ignorant.
All of you, power down, shut up, and let me prove once and for all how wrong you all are. As usual. Lobotomite, do you understand me? Can you speak? Those were words, weren't they? In the form of questions. It's asking me questions. Is this some kind of trick?
Our efforts have turned against us. In playing God, we created a monster.
Perhaps as we were ruthlessly lobotomizing it with our cutters, we filled the skin envelope with awareness. A teddy bear with new stuffing.
Wait. If what you're theorizing is this lobotomite understands us, can reason with us,
then this may be just the answer we've been looking for. At last, a chance to...
Dr. Klein, a transmission from the Forbidden Zone, coming right at us.
It can only be... If it isn't my old colleagues, the mighty think tank of Big Mountain. Big fools, all of you. It is I, Dr. Mobius, transmitting from my dome-shaped dome in the Forbidden Zone. A zone that is, yes, forbidden to you! Even now, my deadly robo-scorpions swarm across Big Mountain with their pincers and pointy laser tails. Soon, all science will be mine! Even the technology sealed in the Big Mountain research centers cannot save you. So cower in your think tank. Wait for the end. That's all. Goodbye. Mobius. Always the same broadcast. He's clearly mad, driven insane by his flawed and imprecise kindergarten-level research methodology.
what are we going to do? There's no way we can breach the Forbidden Zone. There's those robot-scorpions everywhere.
The Forbidden Zone, where no brain has ever entered, nor ever returned.
Except Dr. Mobius, and the technologies that could save us. They are out of our reach.
And Dr. Mobius mocks us. Did you see his cracked monitor? He's clearly let himself go.
What? Ask the lobotomite for help? Abe, I think you need the fluid levels in your logic assist pumps checked.
If this lobotomite responded, Dr. Klein, then it is clearly intelligent, perhaps even displays heretofore unknown levels of helpfulness.
But what of its brain? We scooped that out. We don't even know where we left it. And for putting it back in, none of us have the knowledge.
Yes, but it's still aware and responsive. Look at it. It's regarding us even now, with its big teddy bear eyes. If we ask it politely, and leave the part about the unnecessary, ruthless lobotomizing out, it might be favorably disposed to us. We removed your brain, yes. So soft, barely wrinkled, yet so flush with knowledge and experience. Brain extraction technology has been standard practice at Big Mountain for an immeasurable amount of time.
Once the brain was out, then came the coils. The Tesla coils. The coils of Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, Abe, no need to brag. Wherever your brain is, it's transmitting thoughts to you through the
Tesla coils in its head.
This is fortunate in many respects. If your brain was anywhere in the dome, why, you could access your aggression centers.
Circumventing the pacification field. This is a no-no. We have never been in a fight. We do not want that.
Reminds me of my days in American High. And Richie Marcus.
That is my responsibility. Although in truth, the autodoc had done most of the work already. Quite industrious, almost cut into all my investigations. Once it had removed the brain and I misplaced it, other organs began to cry for direction, using your nerves as telegraph wires. Rather than let them send their signals, I removed them as well. Shh, little organs. Go to sleep in your tanks. Dala loves you.
First was the heart. Second was the heart. Brain was first. Third was the spine.
spine. Totally overrated, that arrangement of vertebrae. Look at me, with my lumbar and thoracic curvature. Never had a use for any of that. Spineless is what I prefer.
To be correct, you should say, the autodoc took out your brain. It did all the heavy lifting. It has never worked so hard before. It was unusual. It worked so hard on your surgery, it destroyed its own memory. How odd. I bet your brain remembers what happened.
That autodoc junk heap was one of Mobius's creations, like the rest of the talking scrap metal in the attic.
After that, the brain lost itself. Not in the metaphysical sense. Might have gotten flushed into one of the pipes. Actually, that's pretty likely.
If so, it was flushed all the way to Mobius. Flush! That is the sound of flushing.
By the Fisher of Rolando, enough of this biological surgery talk. Lobotomite, listen to my voice. It denominates me to ask, but we need your help. In most probable of probabilities, our enemy, Mobius, has your brain. This is not good. He will most likely come after our brains next. We want you to stop him, somehow, with science. That is correct, yes. I hope you're not demonstrating resentment now. If you are, well, we can't have that. We have no idea. This line of questioning isn't important to us right now. Why are you asking these tangential questions? Stop it! We need these technologies. You need to get them. You must get them.
You are equipped to retrieve the technologies with your primitive form. We are not.
It's kind of embarrassing. You have hands, and a heartbeat, sort of, and eyes, mostly the hands. There's door handles and lockers and...
Enough! We need your help. Will you help us? Excellent. This is turning out much better than the activate the retreat protocols and cower in my room idea I had earlier.
Agreed. Oh, and I've used my robotical knowledge to, transmit the radio map waves to... Settle down, 8. I would have gotten it in a second, all right? 8's transmitted the last known coordinates of the research centers. They, well, move sometimes. Or get buried. Or blow up.
8 is correct. All we need are the schematics. This does not mean we do not want the cold hard technology, however. So do not give in to your biological tired laziness and decide you would sweat too much carrying them. You have a new spine. Use it. And even if you die in the act of reclamation, simply reaching them will auto-transmitify the schematics to us. That is still good. For us. Nonsense. This place is no more dangerous than a nuclear detonation site. Our technology is no more lethal than an overcharged Tesla cannon. The technologies are the X2 transmitter antenna array, used to focus coherent thought at excessively high frequencies.
The psychoanalytic, cardiac-dampening, sneaky stealth suit. A suit like nothing this world has ever heard, seen, or could ever see.
And 8's sonic sound wave emitter projectile gun, able to broadcast sound at lethal frequencies. It also gives a great biogel massage.
There. We have informed you of all we need. We estimate if you are focused, your time investment will be minimal, by our standards. If you work quickly, you will be the recipient of a gesture of gratitude from us. We do not bestow these old-world gestures lightly. What illogic is this? Keep your filthy, penis-tipped feet out of our labs and secrets!
There are things here no lobotomite was meant to see. Things that would astound and possibly terrify. Terrify!
Yeah, we don't come into your lab and decant your solutions.
Only the magnificence of our monitors allow for true comprehension of the wonders of Big Mountain. Shield your jellied eyes lest they burn from your skull.
Ah, that is correct. You must walk upon your many penised feet. Much slower than our advanced hovering robotical frames.
The little teddy bear could always run right into the pylon perimeter on its thick, turgid feet, returning it to us quickly and directly.
The radar fence that surrounds the Big Mountain crater will protect you from straying beyond the facility.
The mighty radar fence protects us all. Get too close to the blinking posts, and the proximity warning shall be your warning. You are too close.
If you get near it, your vision will blur as the electrodes in your head shut off one by one. Click, click, click.
Possible memory loss will occur, along with long-term nerve degradation. It is tied to not having a brain attached to your nervous system, but the nerve degradation is nothing to worry about. Such degradation would take many lifespans to become evident, and all biology dies. Such tiny inconveniences are less than the greater convenience and conveyance. You see, if rendered unconscious by the pylons, you will be returned to the sink, seemingly instantaneously by your deadened perceptions.
Oh. Dr. Klein? Dr. Klein? If I may intersect for a moment.
What is it? The lobotomite is asking me things, and I'm trying to ignore them. My processors can't ignore you both at the same time.
Well, you know how we asked it to fetch the sonic emitter thing? Turns out we already have it. What are the odds?
What is this, a high school science fair? Get your act together. You're making us look like a collection of round earthers.
You're always yelling. My receptors can't take it anymore. And neither can my feelings.
I am yelling because you contaminated specimens can't keep your probes off the volume knob on my voice module. It is truly the end of all intelligence when the lobotomite speaks more wisdom than you geniuses. So, if we have the sound wave, sonic projecto thing gun, then what in Heisenberg's name do we need from X8? Anyone?
I believe we need a new frequency embedded into the gun. It was designed to broadcast many sounds once charged. We just don't know the frequency.
And it is lost in X8, just as X8 is forever lost to us. The sadness of my high school days, the sadness of my youth lost.
Oh, really, Boros? All you did in high school was call me Fink Tattletale and all the kids you hated, you little teacher's pet brown hound.
Give the lobotomite the emitter. Does it have an audio effect frequency loaded?
Oh, I don't think so. Wait.
What is he doing?
I think he's sonjaculating into the gun. Getting it warmed up. Ding. Turkey's done.
You give it to the lobotomite. I'm not touching that thing.
Oh, I don't think so.
I'll do it if you two are going to be ashamed of your own technological needs. Let me give it a little sonic sterilization first. Ooh. All right. All antibacterial fresh. Here, my little teddy bear. I have thoroughly removed all Robco termlink code spew from the device. It is clean, shiny, and ready for your hands.
What did it say? Spit lead? What, like pencils?
Oh, I think it wants a combustion pistol.
A gun? Are you mad? We can't give it a gun. Guns kill. Leave big open holes in you that are like sores, but worse.
Dr. 8 is correct. We already have given the teddy bear a lethal sonic death ray, filled with his sonic ejaculate and sterilized by my soft oohing. Giving the teddy bear a gun would be the equivalent of following a glass of hemlock with an Abraxo chaser. Delicious and redundantly deadly.
If we're going to bring the Socratic method into it, fine. Give the Loboto bear a combustion gun. Burroughs, don't you have something like that?
Are you mad? We can't give it a gun. Guns... Wait, I said that already. Yes, I have the Cyberdog gun, with the little floppy metal ears and the curious nose sensor. Here.
Fine. Done. That gun makes me uncomfortable anyway. Always worried it's going to hump my chassis. Anything else, lobotomite? Fine, so, yes. Get these things for us. Do not attempt to comprehend their complicated schematics. That is for us to do. Well, good. What are the token words spoken in this case? Thank you? Yes. Thank you.
Wait, is it leaving? But, Dr. Klein, the lobotomite will need rest, recuperation, things like that. I volunteer my chambers, so it might be stared at. My monitor radar slowly scanning its form to collect sensitive data.
No! That would put it too close to us. It could press buttons, turn lights on and off, and worse, let other lobotomites in.
We could give it Mobius's old room. That's where its brain got scooped out anyway. And plus some of its parts are already there. Might be more comforting for it to hang out with its spine and heart. Home is where the heart is, after all. See what I did there? Wet literal.
I suppose. We'll have to move that couch out of there. Been putting that off too long.
H says, let the lobotomite take the Sync Central Intelligence personality chip and reinstall it. That stuffy Mobius program butler can walk the lobotomite, feed it, barter with it for us.
It would also prevent it from going to Higgs Village and taking up residence there. With my teddy bears. And it would be nice to have it so close.
Your logic, combined with my desire to keep the think tank lobotomite free, has swayed me. Here, I present the Sync Central Intelligence. Lobotomite, take this chip to the sink, plug it in, and make sure the chip is clean, or it could skip. Then make whatever crude biologic demands you need of the sink. It will cater to most of your hormonal whims. I cannot dispute your logic. Do we have objects to activate the chip's exchange routines?
What, like stuff? Things?
Yes, things.
I don't know. Might be some old Nuka-Cola or Sunset Sarsaparilla bottle caps lying around. It's not currency per se. Still might be enough to trick the Sync's trade routines. Mobius put that test line for caps in the code as a debug command, I think.
I don't believe that was Mobius's reason. His wild speculation concerning post-Holocaust economic systems was quite extensive and of high decibel.
Enough! Surrender these so-called bottle caps, Nuka and Sunset alike. In their role as things, they will serve as adequate test subjects.
All right, here, cap away. Hope that stupid chip chokes on them.
Yes, you may need to wiggle it in a bit, but don't force it. We can't recode them if you break it. There is no more we can do to aid you, and our patience levels are depleted. Now go. Rest in the sink if you must, but leave us to our research.
If you're done, can we move again? My biogel's starting to crampagulate.
Of course! Go man your science stations! Go! I am surrounded by children.
Salutations and felicitations, sir, and a most jocund welcome to the Sync. I am your electronic valet and household central processor. May I be of service, sir? Regrettably not, sir. All modules and habitat are synthetic personalities atop a mundane operating system. There is no intelligence here, sir. Indeed, sir. Though if Sir's aim is to activate them, I lament to inform, sir, that most have been offline for some years. If Sir were to ask my opinion, I should venture that Sir is better off without them. However, if Sir is determined to inflict upon Sir's self their dubious services, Sir might locate backup personality disks elsewhere in the facility. As I am given to understand, sir, this facility was once the property of a Dr. Mobius. He crafted the personality modules as part of a collection of experiments on the subject of machine-human interface. As to the reason for the unusual choices of devices to receive the modules, I cannot say. Tragically, the core operating systems are also located on the personality tapes, sir. Once the tape is installed, Sir may request I switch their dialectic interfaces off, and I shall oblige with great delectation. However, Sir will still be required to locate and install a backup holotape to access their functionality. Indubitably, sir. In addition to managing the personality matrices of the other household utilities, I can provide Sir with direct access to the commissary. Any goods Sir might require may be purchased through my shopkeep interface, whence tiny robots shall deliver them forthwith to this very domicile. Very good, sir.
Trying to steal the H2 transmitter array antenna, are you? You won't succeed. Not if my lethal robo-scorpions have any say in the matter.
Attention, students. This is the pre-recorded voice of your pre-recorded principal, Dr. Principal Boros. You may know me as the head chief first researcher of Labs Z9 and Z14. There I fought valiantly to preserve rattlesnake DNA and put it right where it belongs, in the heart of another feared predator. Oh, and the tarantula hook. Can't splice enough, I always say. Especially if you can make a magnificent cazador. Enough about me. It has come to my attention that many of you seemingly innocent children have been subverted by red propaganda. This is a most serious matter, requiring the most serious of detentions. Can you spell detention? I'll tell you how I spell it. Death tension. Commie pinko traitors. Oh! Now, I will send vicious cybernetic cyborg dogs through the corridors to weed all you traitors out. They will sniff out which among you have chosen the commie path. Especially you, Betsy Bright, who turned me down to the high school so you could smoke with Rich Marcus. All monitors will vigilant. Step outside to the class, and they will make sure you make a speedy jump back to your desk. Hold your urine. You are in the library. Be jocks who like balls. Like Richie Marcus. Do you hear me, Betsy? Richie likes balls. To the residential test. This is really Boros, by the way. Hello again. None of us thought you would get this far. Oh, yes. My pet, Gabe. I'd forgotten about the old boy once I'd done on him back at his. Gabe? Gabe, you're about to have your favorite treat. A visitor. Won't that be nice? Don't eat the visitor, boy. Gabe would bark and snarl and bite whenever anyone came to visit. That's why I replaced his legs with spare parts and fed him a steady diet of soap. Oh, John. Schematics. Klein wants it, all right, boy? Let the intruder dig it up wherever you buried it. Attention, students. This is the pre-recorded voice of your pre-recorded principal, Dr. Principal Boros. Today, the cafeteria will be serving nothing, because I didn't build one. The lobotomites retrieved two of the three technologies.
If you feel the intruder, it is no use. All cyber dogs are under my command, and they will bite you. Rant, rant, rant. See how I abstract my rage, think tank? I hold you in such disdain, I generalize my hatred for you.
Did you retrieve the technics? We need them, as I have indicated. Why, yes. We are filled with the knowledge you speak of. If you wish to know more, simply ask the others. They can help you. Dr. Mobius was not the horrifying creature you saw upon the screen, twisted by science. He was once one of us, a friend. He researched in directions contrary to the think tank. Brains, 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 always about the brains. So we exiled him. He says he left of his own volition, but that was to save him the embarrassment. Now he sends his intelligence-consuming scorpions from the Forbidden Zone to plunder the secrets of Big Mountain. He is a menace. I'm not certain. Perhaps it only affects machines. If so, you may be immune. If it is chems, then we have nothing to fear. Since we are afraid, it must not be chems, and you need not fear, which means you can test it. Cool. I am Dr. Klein, Chief Head Researcher of Logistical Operations and Ideology here at Big Mountain. I am surprised you have not heard of me. I am first in my field, first chair, as it were, back in the days of chairs. Did you retrieve the technologies yet? We need them, as I have indicated. What? You did? Your survival, let alone success, barely registered in my projections. Now, all I need to do is check my transmission databank. Mobius is always filling it up with his psychotic calls. Oh yes, there's the schematics, just like you said. How truthful. Yes, yes. Yes, No, I mean yes. You just need to analyze these technologies for a moment. They are extremely advanced, you know? I know how these technologies work. Of course I know. If you remember, we discussed clearly abstract contradictory statements before. Why would we do that if we weren't certain on how to use them? Yes, so let me... a bit, I'll figure it out. Yes, that's what I believe I said. I've got it. The cardiac regulator in the suit, the antenna for brain waves, and the sonic frequency for the vertebral nerves. I'm thinking. This is all very complicated. Let me check something. Of course. I have it. The override sequence to open the Forbidden Zone door is hidden in the schematics. Well, not hidden. It's actually right there, behind the programming equivalent of coffee stains. It's embedded in what seems to be recursive code. It's badly commented there and there. Oh, and null pointer's very sloppy, Mobius. You see, using the antenna to boost the emitter's sonic frequency, and the stealth suit to bypass the Forbidden Zone lock, yes, that could work. Was that my plan? It must have been. Sometimes I truly surprise myself. The door is open, and now Mobius will get his. The door should be unsealed. Now, instead of being subjected to threats, we can equally threatening message to Mobius. And that message is science. Deliver this message, and Big Mountain shall be freed from Mobius's reign of terror. You can go now. That's your cue.
Does that feel better?
Go, my minion! Sting them in the name of all that is Mobius!
Please take this. I don't want you to die. This will keep you on your feet. Please take this. I don't want you to die. Was that all? Does that feel better?
Let's make this important.
Does that feel better?
In the name of Mobius! This is a pre-recorded attack message indicating my desire to commit violence.
I bet no one has ever been as unnoticed as me.
Oh, hello there. You are there, aren't you? Forgive my confusion. So hard to tell these days. You seem familiar somehow. I'm guessing, you're here for your brain, perhaps? It's just up there. Such a nice brain, young, very bright. Little hard to see you. Can you walk into my left, right FOV cone? Ah, that's it. You're coming into focus nicely. Depth percent a problem with this old monitor of mine. Went black a while ago. That's old age for you. Should look at getting the visual nerves reattached. It's just that the right eye would see the wrong things. The flying tortoises were the worst. Would you care for a mentat? I love mentats. Delicious and smarty. I have all sorts of amazingly science-erific thoughts and ideas when those chalky tablets are zipping through my biogel. I forget them all not long after, though, especially with the data constipating my memory core. Afraid binary streams might shoot out my chassis. Had to start using the dome floor and walls here to inscribe equations, although I've somewhat lost track of where they start and end. Really? That implies preconceived notions, theories, and a hypothesis about this meeting? Please extrapolate. What was I supposed to be like? After all, it might be worth a cognitive realignment if your theoretical Mobius is better than I. Oh, a variety of reasons. You're something of a homily. Anomaly? You're really quite special, and not in the cranially challenged way. You see, you are the most successful brain extraction experiment ever performed here at Big Mountain. A victim of your own success, as it were. If you were to go back with what your brain knows about the procedure, well, your brain could be popped back in and you could walk right out of here. Can't have brains moving around of their own volition. I'm not sure, except that I'm sure there's a very good reason for it. I have very good reasons for almost everything I do. Even if I forget them occasionally. Although I feel this one is important. Oh, well. Oh, curiosity. I experience that less now that I know everything. Or maybe it was when I found out some unpleasant answers. Well, every scientist needs an army. Mine came to me after these rather large scorpions kept coming in from the desert, like poisonous frosting. How scary, I thought. But they had survived when nothing else had. Perfect candidates for improvement as a reward for their tenacity. Then I thought, what if they shot energy bolts and acted as walking eyes and data-drained computers and acted as bullhorns? Then I made them bigger. Then I thought about custard. I do so love custard. Or was it mustard? Mustard custard. I miss sugars and salts. I find things curious as well. Go on. Oh, I was probably tripping hard on Psycho when I sent that. Had to work myself up to it. Not usually violent, except when I am. Then, watch out! So many chems, such varieties. Whenever I take mentats, I can feel my entire chassis breathe like a big spherical lung. As for the psycho, sometimes get the chem dispositories in my tank all switched up. Go in the wrong tube. Still, served its purpose. Did I? Maybe I did. Can't have them leaving. Some reason for it. Ethics or, conscience? You and your brain are quite alike. I'm sure it knows the reasons better than I do. Dr. Mobius. Rather catchy, isn't it? It's my name, and my new name overwrote the old one. This name's as real as you or I, although I believe your brain expressed similar incredulity at the nature of such an appellation. Someone's been watching too many old-world science fiction movies, it said. I believe it meant me. I must admit I have a vulnerability for holotape fantasies of planets and robots and all that is forbidden. As for the name I was born with, like the think tank, we were all reprogrammed to forget them, take on new names. It enforces the recursion loop in our perception programming. Now, trap is a word, like excrement. Not an inappropriate word, but still rather harsh. But, yes, I did take some liberties with their programming. It's all right, they don't remember. I certainly didn't until you said trap, and then I said excrement, and then... The radar fence to keep the think tank hemmed in wasn't really enough. They keep testing things. They would have found a way to disarm it. I suspect I have Plan C's in place, but I may have coded myself to forget them, just in case. Probably very dangerous, lethal, or worse. So I had to do something else to keep them occupied here. Or as you like to say, trapped. I prefer to have several Plan Bs in case the A's fail. Oh, you figured it out. No pun intended. Dr. O, which is actually not his real name multiplied, since you can't multiply his real name in the first place. Ouroboros, Klein, they have all forgotten themselves. And not only themselves, but the world, sense of time and history. All that is left is what's here. I reprogram chronometers, geometers, and cartography programs. This is now their world, here, Big Mountain. It was a merciful lobotomy, really, thinking back. They were my friends, but sometimes they would take things too far. And the world isn't ready for that kind of too-far thing-taking. That's my professional opinion, anyway. And I am told I was once quite professional. Well, it's simple. Despite their many failings, they are rather bright. They are the think tank for a reason. That I didn't change. Without something to distract them, make them afraid, they would simply deduce what had happened. And when they start deucing it up, then you came along, the final variable solved. They saw that their world was larger than they perceived. Bacteria, finally able to see its host. There have been other visitors to make them doubt their perceptions, but you are the one who dialed back their monitor micro-magnifiers. You were irrefutable proof that there was a world outside. And then there was the whole brain fiasco, which forced me to take steps.
See, your brain had a special kind of wrinkle, a uniquity that they had never thought to try in all their countless escape attempts. Yes, very good. I should have mentats ingest you instead of the other way around. Mentats. In any event, you showed up at the think tank, and because you had suffered a cranial injury in just the right place, bullets in the head are usually much more fatal, and yours was a light case of bullet headitis. But it was enough for the autodoc in the sink to change its programming to fix the problem, and the brain extraction technology for once worked. That gave the think tank the knowledge its brains couldn't possess. With that knowledge, the procedure can be reversed. If they obtain that procedural data, they can use it to mush and modify their cranial selves into hosts to slip past the radar fence. I'm sure of it. And once they're off the reservation... I consider coincidence to be profanity, along with the words astrology, herbal tea, and luck. So watch it, potty mouth. My threat broadcast is designed to instill and install fear. And along with the emotional download, other data rides the fear carrier wave. It prompted them to focus on retrieving those technologies and bring them to attack me. And coincidentally, pardon my language, all those technologies are needed to put a brain, your brain, back into its skull properly. Oh, that means my plan is a total failure. That is unfortunate. Oh well, at least I tried. The X2 antenna can be used to focus your alpha wave frequency thought patterns. The sneaky suit, why, it houses a cardiac regulator. And the sonic sound wave projecto emitter was never intended as a weapon. It was a medicinal vertebrae pulse desensitizer. In short, brains, a heart, and courage. Spine. I think there was a story once where a band of murderous thugs sought these things. They had them all the time in the story. Didn't stop them from murdering to get them. And it won't stop the think tank either. Yes, my overly aggressive broadcast was designed to keep reinforcing the forget, fear, rinse, and repeat program. Oh, and the get me the things to castrate your only possible escape attempt. But I couldn't delete you or your arrival any more than I could the other visitors. Only so much science can do when you started talking to them. You're really quite difficult to ignore, you know. It's because you're, well, rather intriguing, if you'll forgive an old brain for saying so. Yes, this is getting interesting. You are just filled with these little slices of curiosity, aren't you? The ghosts aren't real? That changes everything. Why, I can save my computing power for other perceptual impossibilities. Please be my guest. The receptor is there, and the side-switching wobbly bob, just turn that. Good. Better? Oh, yes, that feels wonderful. This is even better than my afternoon mentats break. Yes?
Oh, a variety of reasons. You're something of a homily. Anomaly? You're really quite special, and not in the cranially challenged way. You see, you are the most successful brain extraction experiment ever performed here at Big Mountain. A victim of your own success, as it were. If you were to go back with what your brain knows about the procedure, well, your brain could be popped back in and you could walk right out of here. Can't have brains moving around of their own volition. Now, that seems to be rather hormonal of you. Flight or fight response, you know. Hard to cut that out completely. Your brain is here, safe with me. We chat over mentats. Do you? You seem fine without it. And does it even want to go back with you? Maybe you should ask it. It's quite independent, has all manner of opinions. Tell you what, I'll leave it up to your brain. If it wants to go, then fine. If not, well, you should respect its wishes. Indeed. The goodbye part of our little chat, then. Goodbye. Please mind the equations on the floor.
Well, well, look who finally dragged themselves in out of the wasteland. And where have we been? Crawling through pits of radioactive muck again? Ah, lovely. Figured that out, have we? Would you like a cookie? Yes, well, believe me, the opposite is equally true. Good Lord, have you bathed at all since they pulled me out of you? Well, that's a completely different matter. The tank isn't biological. It's not the same at all. Oh, had I? What exactly will you do if I don't? Not put me back in that cranial dungeon you call your head? Heavens forbid. You wouldn't. That's inhuman. I suppose it did. Bravo! You've managed to intimidate a brain in a jar. After the think tank extracted me from your skull, they fell to bickering amongst themselves. I'm sad to say we were quite forgotten about. Dr. Mobius saw an opportunity to gain some leverage and had me spirited away to his dome. I don't know. I'm afraid the trauma of our separation rendered me quite insensate. I didn't come around until I was safely ensconced in this tank. I'm quite sure whatever he did was highly scientific, though. Hardly. Dr. Mobius keeps a close optical sensor on the goings-on at the think tank. As soon as he saw the opportunity, he took it. Well, as long as your curiosity is satisfied. I'm not going to lie to you. The prospect is definitely not that appealing. Look at it from my perspective. Here I have peace, quiet, and safety. Well, barring the odd rogue scorpion. In your head, I've got poison, radiation, grisly injuries, and biological functions. Do you know how much more you can get done when you're not constantly looking for places to urinate? It's quite a lot, I can tell you. Overrated biological feedback. Believe me, you only feel that way because you've got all that meat. Oozing hormones. I suppose you're right. That does call certain assumptions into question, doesn't it? Indeed, quite the conundrum. How do you suppose we resolve it? I suppose there might be some advantage to that, yes. There's a chance that the reintegration would create some improved synergy between us. Well, I suppose you've convinced me well enough. I'll rejoin your body if that's your final decision. Unfortunately, before we get to that stage of the proceedings, we have a problem. Even if I could settle myself back in your skull and reconnect all those pesky nerve endings, Dr. Mobius doesn't have the tools here. We would have to make use of Dr. Klein's lab, and I rather doubt the brains are inclined to share. And you believe them? Really? I know you were recently deprived of my fabulous advice, but... Really? Once I'm delivered into their clutches, they'll find a way past the radar fence and the whole Mojave will be their playground. And that is assuming, of course, that one of them doesn't take a fancy to our body and decide to slip his own brain into it instead. Don't seem so bad. They vivisected us just to see what would happen. Have you forgotten the lobotomites? The cyber dogs, I assume you saw those. Imagine that kind of science spread across the entire Mojave. Every man, woman, and child we've met reduced to a lobotomite. Is that what you want? Well, I suppose I do miss those endorphin rushes when we save the day. All right, what's the plan? Right! Look out, think tank! This brain is coming out of its jar! I suppose now that we're reunited, you'll want to fill your torso up with those other meaty parts the think tank took from us. Personally, I think your upgrades are quite a bit better. But now that I'm with you, the Sync's autodock can plug them back in no problem. Right then, off we go. Klein will be in for a nasty shock when he realizes the pacification field won't work on a mind and body reunited.
The lobotomite returns. Our lobotomite. Has Dr. Mobius been denominated into scrap metal and voice parts, as we hoped? I recommend watching your tone with me, lobotomite. Now, your brain. Hand it over, or we'll extract it again. And what could we possibly have to speak about? You have the brain, we have the technology. All you must do is surrender. With it, we can finally leave this place. I cannot tell you how boring this place gets, chopping up the landscape and everything in it. And we have so many questions to ask your brain first. About this Mojave place. A fertile testing ground for our experiments. That is the most insane thing I've ever heard. There's no way Mobius would condescend to step inside you. Besides, there's no way such a thing could be accomplished. It's impossible. A fight? I've never been in a fight. What do I... Ah! Colleagues! Think tank! Alert! Alert! We are under attack! Fight!
Ready, steady, fight.
That's what my attack protocols feel like.
As it had been in the years before the Great War, Big Mountain, the Big Empty, became home to one of the brightest minds of the 23rd century. The Courier watched over the Big Empty for years to come, caring for it and keeping its discoveries safe until they were needed to help others. which had always been Big Mountain's purpose. Past the laboratories and science, it had always been intended as a place to build the future of all mankind.
Although, truth be told, the Courier had barely explored the crater in an attempt to rush through and be done with the whole thing. Perhaps that was for the best, however. Curiosity, while sometimes rewarded for its efforts, often proves to be equally dangerous.
Dr. Mobius continued his research undisturbed in the Forbidden Zone. As much as he had attempted to create better scorpions, he tried the same with humanity, with considerably less success. These failures didn't bother him overmuch. Once the rush of mentats wore off, he forgot he had failed in any event. After all, the bright young mind who had come to visit him in the Forbidden Zone had already exceeded his expectations.
The sink was strangely silent, which it had never been in previous years. The lack of personality modules made the base lifeless and sterile.
As the Courier ran through the X8 facility multiple times, the computers analyzed the test subject's movements. Rather than performing a superficial observation, they realized the subject barely knew what communism was, or even what a high school was. This confused them for a time, until the facility finally realized that its research had succeeded. So it let its cyber dogs out into the wastes to help protect small communities from physical aggression rather than communist propaganda.
The infiltration program in X-13 continued to scan for the subject and the stealth suit prototype long after the test was over. Frustrated and unable to find its lost technology, X-13 expanded its network of laser tripwires, sensors, and robo-brains out across Big Mountain. This glittering blue light beam forest cleanly bisected anything that entered its depths, slicing them into small segmented parts for easy disposal.
The Courier, organs intact, continued onwards, a little less heavy of step, but with all the organs in the right places, as they should be. After all, brains can develop a life of their own when left to their own thoughts, and the Courier's brain was more clever than most.
The think tank basement, filled with lobotomized robotical frames of the doctors, now served as a graveyard. The monitors had recorded the battle in its entirety, including the think tank's final, shrill, terrified screams, whimpers, and pleas for mercy. They broadcast these humiliating last moments as a warning to anyone approaching the perimeter that other smarty pants were not welcome. The Courier was the inheritor of the Big Empty, and there was room for only one will in the halls of the think tank dome.
There is an expression in the wasteland, old world blues.
It refers to those so obsessed with the past they can't see the present, much less the future, for what it is.
They stare into the what was, eyes like pilot lights, guttering and spent, as the realities of their world continue on around them.
Science is a long, steady progression into the future. What may seem a sudden event often isn't felt for years, even centuries to come.
In the times following the Second Battle of Hoover Dam, however, Old World Blues took on a new meaning.
Where once it was viewed as a form of sadness, nostalgia, it became an expression describing the potential for the future.
It can be easy to see science as evil, technology unchecked as the source of all ills, all misfortunes.
With the Courier at the helm, science became a beacon for the future. There was old world blues, and new world hope. And hope ruled the day at Big Mountain.
We could say more, but the stories in the Big Empty speak for themselves. Now armed with the transportal ponder, the Courier could return to the dome at any time and crack open the secrets of the Big Empty one by one. The Sink sat vigilant, waiting for its master to return, shoes covered in Mojave dust. Only one road yet remained, and it was one the Courier had to walk alone.